That was a lot of detail. So the U.S. Navy RQ-4 drone was flying in international airspace, not over Iran, as some reports are coming through. Now remember, Iran does not have independent media. That would be state media, and perhaps that's where that's coming from. But what we're told from that lieutenant general is that this is over the Straits of Hormuz and fell into international waters. And of course, this is a picture of what the drone looks like. And the concern here is that it was at high altitude. There were a couple of points that were mentioned: unprovoked attack, an attempt to stop our monitoring of the area from international space. And so as we watch this comes together now with all of the breaking news that we're watching happen. This press briefing via the Pentagon with the commander who is looking at the shoot down of this U.S. Navy RQ-4, brought in by audio feed from Central Command. And then you've got the situation at the White House with the president coming out in the midst of his meetings with the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who's here to just take a couple of shouted questions. This is the topic of the day, as our now National Security Advisor John Bolton is said to be on his way to Israel. And you know the threats against Israel from Iran. Melissa?
Yeah, if I could just add one more thing. He made the point very specifically that not only was it not over Iranian territory when it was shot down, but that it never went into Iranian airspace at any time, just to be clear, because this is the defense that Iran is using, obviously, that it was there at the time. The next could be, well, it was there, and then by the time we hit it, it was out. And they said, no, there was no point at which it entered that airspace.
Yeah, they hit it at high altitude. It fell into international waters from international airspace. David, I know you were taking copious notes as this was going on. What do you want to share?
Well, I mean, first, let's pay attention to who's speaking. This is Central Command. This is a case where the general gave you very specific information without giving you all the information. High altitude, 34 kilometers off. Think of the Air Force. You need positioning, plane put in where this drone was. Our assets have been reacting to this since this morning, that I can give you from an earlier conversation with Washington, D.C. This is not a case of going to war, but Ambassador Bolton going to Israel is a key point in this, because for Iran, Israel is their left flank, if you will. They may be facing the United States, but they're worried about inside the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. The mullahs are concerned that Israel may come in with additional action.
I want to talk with you about this, Leslie, because there's been a lot of conversation about whether or not the sanctions are working against Iran. And I've had generals tell me recently that they are, and how you know is that they're doing the desperate moves of attacking ships. And they know we will escort those ships if we are called to do that, if that becomes part of the recipe in all of this. But what David is saying is really interesting, because military action doesn't mean necessarily you go to war.
I agree 100% on that. Even House Speaker Pelosi said, I don't think the president wants to go to war. She spoke to, and I think many Democrats and Republicans would agree, that there has to be some military response. I and many other Democrats did not feel that President Obama was right when he drew a line with Syria and didn't follow through. We have to have some kind of response. Here's my problem with this, okay? Iran would be a parking lot, whether we attacked them or Israel. Israel has up to 400 nuclear weapons. And even if between when we pulled out of the deal and to this moment, if they were enriching uranium or even secretly, they could not amass that type of arsenal.
So what's the point?
Okay. Yep. Go ahead. You want to
wrap?